today we have Mr. Piyush Maheshwari. He's an Android engineer at Zomato. So he will be taking the lead from now. And once the session is completed, I will be sharing a Slido link so that you can ask your doubts there and our guest will answer the doubts.
Cool. So hi everyone. My name is Piyush, and I graduated last year, and I've been working as an Android developer for more than 2 years now, if you include internships. So just a hand check. How many of you are from like? Can you let me know in which year are you in college right now? Like you can just uh, share so that I know majority of people are in which year. First year, okay. How many of you are first year? Matlab, just a hand check so that I know. Okay, first year and second year. Okay, okay. Anyone from final year or third year? So majority are from second and first, but some are from third year too. Okay. So cool. I'll just start with how can you get into Android since majority of you are in first and second year. I'll just share my journey first. In first year, I did nothing, like literally nothing related to Android. I was exploring different fields and checking stuff out. Second year, third semester, I did a training on Java and Android, and the main reason was that nobody else was going into it. We had three options: web development, machine learning, and Android. And all of my friends, like literally my whole class, was going into ML and web, and nobody was into Android. So that's how I got into Android because none of them were going. So that's how I started towards this is third semester end. So after 1.5 years of college, I got into Android. I knew basics of Java, and it was Java and Android. So I knew that my basics would be covered once again. So that's how I got into it. And after that, I developed some random apps uh, on Android using Firebase, Java, Kotlin, and stuff. And then I did my internship uh, around third year end, first internship. It was at a startup, and I was working on the Java app. And then around fourth year, first semester, I got into Grofers. I did an internship there for 6 months on Android. And there I worked on things like Java, Kotlin, React Native, and stuff. And after that, I joined Zomato, and I've been working here since. So I'll just give you a roadmap kind of stuff that how can you get into Android. So the basic is you first need to pick a language. It can be either Kotlin or Java, but I'll prefer Kotlin. I had no clue of Kotlin until I was told that you have to work on Kotlin like in Grofers when I joined. Then only I started learning Kotlin. You can right now. It's the official language too, and that is for the language part. The most important is the basics, which is OOPS, object-oriented programming language. So you should know Java, and then you can get into Kotlin, not the other way around. So I'll suggest you that start learning Java, complete the basics. Like there are a lot of things in that. There's OOP, there's multi-threading, and a lot of stuffs there. Just the encapsulation abstraction part and interfaces. You need to know the basics before you deep dive. So you can learn those using Java and then get into Kotlin before you get into Android development. So there's a playground website too by JetBrains to play with Kotlin. So you can write basic programs in Kotlin just to get familiar. And once you're done with the language part, you can get into data structures. Like, not, I'm not talking about data structures and algorithm. I'm just saying the basic use of data structures. So maximum in Android you'll get is tree, and that is also a very wide use case. I mean, you won't be using tree as a data structure in a lot of case. Maximum majority you won't be using a tree. It will be hash map, arrays, linked list, and sometimes stack and queue. So you should be familiar with that on Kotlin. These are the basics part. With this, you've done with the language part. Now, to get into Android, you should know the basics of Android, which is like the whole app is divided into five basic components, which is activity, fragments, services, broadcast receivers, and content providers. All these are just the building blocks. Like these are ABCDs of making an app. Without ABCDs, you can't write a word, you can't write a sentence. So stuff like that. I'm not saying that you will have to uh, know all of them in depth to make an app. Even I don't know a lot of stuffs in that. Like you can get into the depth part when you're asked or when you need something which requires services or broadcast receivers. Like last to last month, I got a use case where I had to learn about broadcast receivers, and that's how now I know a lot of things about broadcast receivers. Earlier, I just used to know just the term and what it does, but not the real life use case. So that's how you learn. Once you're done with these basics, you can study like from the interview perspective. These five basic points are the most asked questions, and majority of the questions will revolve around these topics. So life cycle of activity, life cycle of fragment, life cycle of a view. So how a particular button is drawn into that screen, that is the most asked question, and I have answered it in every interview. Like this has been asked on every interview I've ever given, and I have given a lot. So trust me on that. So life cycle of all the basic components and how do they work internally. So there's something called IPC, interprocess communication. So you should know about those things. Uh, I said about multi-threading because majority of the time you will be dealing with multi-threading issues uh, in any app. So in Android, you have basic concepts of handler, looper, async task, which does stuff in on a different thread, non asynchronous work. And async task is now deprecated. So if you're using Kotlin, you can use coroutines. But for that, you need to know the basics that why async task was deprecated, what are the problems with async task. So one of the major problems with async task is that, for example, when you rotate a screen, so if you have initiated a background job as in you need to get something not on the main thread, and then you rotate the screen, the uh, the result won't be displayed because async task does not support configuration changes. So there are a lot of problems with async task, but in a lot of places we use async task. Like literally in the Zomato app, there are 10 or 20 cases where we are using async task, even though it's deprecated. So the replacement is coroutines. You can use that, but that's a totally different game. Coroutines has a lot of stuffs in it. So that's for the multi-threading part. Uh, if you're done with the activity, the five basic components, you can get into views, which is there are mainly three layouts, three or four main: relative layout, linear layout, the way you design the XML part. So there are two components. One is the XML part, and the other is Java and Kotlin, Java or Kotlin. So you draw the views on the XML part, and you work on it in the Java and Kotlin part. So in XML, you have basic layouts like linear layout, where you can tell the orientation, whether it should be vertical or horizontal. And then you have relative layout, then you have frame layout, and the most favorite is constraint layout. You should use that technically every time, not for the basic views, but since the performance of all views for a basic view will be same, but for complex views you should use constraint layout. That works in a totally different way, and that is a separate topic to deal with. Once you're done with these, you should start making apps, because like majority of the things I learned was when I was actually making the app and not while studying or watching a YouTube video and stuff like that. So I learned majority of Android using YouTube and Udemy courses, because none of them are taught in college. The training which I did in second year, around third semester, was just the basics, like literally the five components of Android and the views. So uh, I'm still grateful to that training, because it was a 20 days training, and every day they used to teach around the same topics. So the base got so strong that I never had to go back into it and restudy what was taught. So the baseline is that get your basics right before getting into app. Like that should be the last step that you're making the app. First, get the basics done, then you can jump in and then start exploring. So most of the things. So for example, I'll share. I first made a to-do app, but I did not know how to save data uh, on the app. Like I'll enter a text and that text will be displayed. But as soon as I kill the app, uh, a new instance of the app is created and the data was not retained. So for that, I had to learn about DB databases. So mainly, you can save them in SQL tables. Right now, SQL has also been deprecated. SQL tables, you should use Room database, which is a Jetpack component. And so that's how I learned about SQL tables. Then, so this is one way. Then I made this to do app with SQL. Then I learned about Firebase. This is the most important thing you should learn. So Firebase has a lot of things. It has authentication, database, messaging, notification, and stuff. We still use in Zomato, and like all the apps which I had made for my final year project too, I had used Firebase. So learning that is a definitely plus for all the companies which you'll prepare for, because everybody uses Firebase. So it everybody mainly uses it for Crashlytics, basically where you get to see where your app is crashing, where is it giving an error throughout, and what's the number of Crashlytics, basically error logging stuff. So you should know about that. So I developed a to-do app with SQL first. Then I made with a real-time database, Firebase. Then I got to learn about Cloud Firestore. So the way so whenever someone asks me like how to get into Android, I just tell them to make these three apps: to-do app with SQL, to-do app with Firebase database, to-do app with Firebase Cloud Store, uh, Cloud Firestore. So, like with different layouts, obviously, to test the layout stuff. With these, you will definitely cover all the basics of Android. And once you're done with this, like I had done a shopping app where you're making a cart. I was learning from YouTube and then implementing. So that's not the correct way, but I learned it that way only. So I used to watch tutorials and uh, do the same thing, but that does not help. That helps when you're just starting, but after that I was also making stuff of my own. uh, you should definitely check some YouTube videos as well. uh, Philip Lackner has been one of my favorite YouTube channels. You should definitely check that for Android. And Coding Cafe is their YouTube channel. Then EDMT Dev is also there. You can check these three channels for Android. And once you're done with these basic apps, like uh, so the thing is, it's not just about making apps. When you're in an interview, you'll have to showcase that you know the entire process. So prefer I'll tell you all that you should prefer buying a Google Play account too. You can club it with your friends so that all four or five of you can upload your apps on Play Store. But you should know the entire process of from making the app to uploading it to Play Store. It helps a lot because uh, that's an added advantage over the people who are not familiar with Play Store and Play Store dashboard. So you should have basic idea of that. I'm saying just upload apps, you'll get to learn a lot of things. Even if it's a calculator app, if you're building that, make a different UI, a really smooth one, and you can upload it on Play Store. For, that will help you to showcase your projects. Uh, I did not do this. That's why I know that you should do this. So once you're done with these things, like basic Android stuffs and apps, calculator app, to do app, basic shopping app, then you can get into the architecture components. So there's MVC, which is deprecated, MVP, which is being followed on most of the apps. Then there's MVVM, which is the majority of what everyone is developing on. And then recently, last year or last year, MVI architecture also came up. So you should know about all four of these, not the last one, but definitely MVC, MVP, and MVVM, mainly because uh, all of them were some architecture patterns which were followed on that time, which in which they were launched. So you should know that why MVC was not a good pattern and why MVP was developed, why MVP failed. So we had MVVM, and similarly for MVI. So MVVM is the most common architecture right now. 90% of the apps use MVVM, and it has basic components like live data, which is a different ballgame altogether. So I'll suggest that getting into architecture components should be after you've done all the basic apps. So it is mainly regarding the code quality and the code you're writing. So for the basic apps, it does not matter. Even I was making apps without any architecture. I was doing everything on like how I want to do it. I was not following any architecture patterns, no coding practices, nothing. But then I got to learn that things don't work out that way. And when I joined Grofers, I had to learn about architecture components and stuff, and then implement it. So it's better for you if you learn it beforehand, before joining a company or before giving an interview. But the statement base problem is the same, that you should know the basics, like anything related. So I'll tell you an interesting story. The first interview which I ever gave for Android internship was at Lenskart, and I was prepared with Android a lot. Uh, I mean, that time compared to that time, I was prepared a lot. Uh, the interviewer asked me questions on Java, which, to my surprise, I hadn't prepared. So he asked me questions on encapsulation, abstraction, and I was like, I don't know. Can we shift to Android? Then I knew that the interview is over, but the interviewee helped me a lot. Uh, like as we both of us knew that I'm not going to make it to the next round, so both of us were having a chat. Then he actually told me that you should know these stuffs before you're getting into an interview, and that's how I learned it the hardest way. I learned it during an interview, which was obviously not going in my favor, but that guy told me that these stuffs are there. You should know about the basics of Android, so the life cycle, Java components and stuff. And then he told me that you should have apps on Play Store. Not even if not in Play Store, then you should definitely upload it on GitHub. with screenshots, link to a drive, or basically you should have the end result displayed somewhere, so that if you say that you're an Android dev, you have something to showcase. So with that, the most basic component is learning Git. I'm sure in college you will be taught about it. When I was in my second year, we were taught Git, but I did not understand even the G part of Git in college. I learned it after I joined the internship. So what I'll suggest is first learn the basics of Git, which is extremely important. Like every day we write hundreds of commands in Git. That's one of the uh, basic building blocks, like extreme basic. Even if you don't go into Android, even if you go into backend or frontend or anywhere, you will use Git. So that's the primary thing. Like everyone says data structures and algorithm, but you should know also about Git, and Git is not GitHub. uh, so don't get confused with that. There's GitHub, there's GitLab, there's Bitbucket. So a lot of tools are there, but the basic is Git. You should know that. After these things, like, so, like, the stuffs I told should take you around 1 year, definitely, like if you're doing it in the proper way. After this, if you're still interested in Android, you can learn about Jetpack components. There's navigation components, there's RoomDB, there's Jetpack benchmark library and stuff. So a lot of things are coming every day, like literally every day. Even I have to get caught up with everything that's coming. So once you're done with these things, then I guess you're ready for interviews. But so clearing an interview is the next bigger problem in life after learning Android. So the problem here is that the opportunities are very less for Android developers, because mainly companies take uh, students from campus based on data structures and algorithm, and then they shift into Android internally. But if you will be targeting Android just like me, like I had never done data structures and algorithm, I don't even have a profile on most of the competitive coding sites. But I would suggest that you should know basic data structures and algorithm. Like I'm not saying give contests every day and stuff like that. I never gave a contest, not a single one till date. But I know the basics of data structures and algorithm. So if you give me a problem, I will solve it. I will take time, because time will be there whenever you get a problem in your day-to-day basis. But the basics should be clear, that it's basically problem solving. It's nothing like extraordinary. You just need to pick up a language. In this case, since you'll be dealing with Java and Kotlin, I'll suggest you guys to stick with Java. It has a lot of inbuilt functions too to help you guys. Yeah, that's it for the roadmap part. Um, if you have any questions, I'm free to answer.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, guys, I will be sharing a, link in the chat box here. So, go to that link and post your question, and I will be presenting my screen so that your doubt will be visible on the screen, and sir will be answering the question.
Any questions related to Android or college or anything? I'm free to answer. Because giving talk on the roadmap stuff is a really vast topic. I could only touch few things. There are thousands of new things which even I don't know. So I can't focus on everything in Android. I covered the basic components which I had learned before getting into a company, and a lot of things which I had not learned. So I included them also. If you have any questions, we can surely help.
Yeah, so please use that link and type your questions, and they will be visible here. Okay,
What
we
are
have.
the different career options in Android? In Android, there's only one career, which is Android development. So the one of the topics which I did not cover was that there are two types of uh, Android development. One is hybrid and the other is native. For hybrid, you have React Native and Flutter, and for native, you have Java or Kotlin. I'll prefer, and I always prefer native Android. I mean, I don't want to impose that, but you can also try Flutter, React Native. I've also worked on both of these, but I prefer native more than anything. So yeah, that's the different career options. You suggested to DSA with Java. Why not Kotlin? Like I have access to all Java libraries and running. Huh? Like I said Java because uh, that will be more familiar to everyone. Kotlin is not a language which everyone would know. So if you're giving an interview to a random company and the interviewee is not from Kotlin background, there's a high chance he or she won't understand or will have problem and may suggest you to change the language. So that's why I said Java because it's the basic language and everyone must be knowing around that. So yeah, how can we manage college semester studies around? Yeah. So that's a tough question, but I had given up on college semester studies because I knew that those are not helping. But definitely, I won't recommend that. Uh, how will you do? Is a good question. How I did, let me think. So every day after coming from college, so the thing with me was that I was like overexcited with Android development because the best part is you can showcase stuff. Like, see, this is what I made. This is what I made today. This is what I'll make. This is the screen I'm working on and stuff. So I was a lot of like excitement towards Android. I had a lot of excitement. So that's how I had done. Like every day after coming from college, I used to sit 2 or 3 hours, like from 12 to 3 maybe, or 9 to 12 or stuff like that. And I used to work on it. So that's what that's what I would recommend. How much does it cost? I have no idea about that. So I won't be answering that. Uh, I don't have any Android experience. What is the best way to make an app for my startup? So there are two ways: either learn Android development or hire an Android developer. Or get your friend into get your friend who has experience with Android. If you want to learn, I just told you how you should learn. Or otherwise, just get a friend who is into Android. I'm in my first year. I have created apps like Calculator and To Do app. No, I don't think with just making Calculator and To Do app, you should be looking for internships. I'll suggest give it more time since you're in your first year. You can easily get internships. Like you can easily start getting internships from the second year end. I'm not sure about every college, but in our matlab, when I was applying, when I had applied for internships when I was in my second year, none of them were agreeing to give an internship. Everybody suggested that it should start from fifth semester, and you should take time for that too. You get your basics correct, develop app. If you're in your first year and you have already created these, just post it on Play Store, highlight it, like make try to come up with different stuffs. Like to do app, you can add priority to that. You can add widgets to that. You should learn about widgets too. Then, so a to do app is a huge use case for Android development. So you can get into Android variables where you can work on Wear OS, which is the watchables. You can display to do app there also. To do app can have priority, and there are a lot of use cases on to do app. So try to develop that and make it your best product so that you can add it on your resume. Just a to do app should not be added to resume, but with features like priority, notifications, events, and stuff like that, you can easily develop and upload it. You should upload it on Play Store, definitely. Is it okay to meet software consultancy to make a app? I don't know. I'm not sure about this. It's okay, like, if you ask me. How can we interview from like Zomato? I'm from Tier 3. I'm also from Tier 3 college. I'm sure 90% of you won't even know my college name. So this is what I was discussing yesterday also with one of my friends. Getting into Zomato or Zomato level companies is a lot based on your luck. I'll definitely say, like, for the way I got into Zomato was definitely because of luck. I had applied, someone had posted on LinkedIn that they are hiring, and I'm sure 100 of people had mailed him with their resume. But getting my resume selected, I'm sure definitely that I was lucky. So one way is that you keep on applying, you keep on so for in case of Zomato, if you go to Zomato's career site, they don't even have a career site. They only accept applications through referrals. So in for the case of Zomato, you should probably try for a referral. That way, that is the only way you can get here. But for rest of the companies, I'll suggest LinkedIn Jobs. Angel List is a great company, a great platform to apply for jobs. Maximum interviews I had cracked, or I received the interview part of the company using AngelList. So you can definitely try that. And the Tier 3 college is just a tag given by HRs, not from the people, like not from. I don't treat my college as a Tier 3, but that's the thing. So for making Android apps, are there any alternative idea apart from industry? Yeah, so even I had this problem. My laptop was a 4 GB RAM uh, laptop, and right now Android Studio is a lot stable than 2 or 3 years before. So I'm not sure. I'm 100% sure that there are no alternative IDs apart from Android Studio. So either increase your RAM to 8 GB or 16 GB minimum. That way, that will definitely reduce the time to get executed. So even I used to develop in 4 GB RAM, and I used to wait for half an hour to get a build executed. Learn something for that half an hour, or think about something. Basically, utilize your time when it's getting executed. There's no point crying about it, but to utilize your time. Can you share your Twitter handle? Yeah, I'll share. No problem. What is the best stack for building a market ready app? Best stack. I have no clue about backend. Like literally no clue. Maybe I'll have some. Like I want to get into backend after some time, or maybe not. So for the front end or the Android part, I'll definitely suggest native, which is going to stay for a long time. So, I'm definitely sure uh, till you're working, Android native is gonna stay. So you don't need to worry about what's gonna happen next. Even I'm not worrying. So Android native is the best way to get a market ready app. Can I ignore Java or Kotlin if I learn Flutter? Yeah, you can learn Flutter, but right now, majority of the companies, 90% of the companies are not using Flutter. Some of them are using React Native, like Grofers is using React Native, Flipkart is using, Curefit is using, Ola is using. You can try React Native maybe if you want to get into like as a job perspective, but learn Flutter. I'll suggest definitely you should learn Flutter. I also learned Flutter. Even I have an app on Play Store which is developed using Flutter, but that is like according to me that is only for the learning perspective, not for a job perspective. Any tips for iOS developers? Yeah, it's same for Android, same for iOS. The thing is, get your basics right. You'll clear any interview for job. Why not replied people on LinkedIn chat? Not gonna answer that. Other than YouTube, is there any paid course with placement support in Android? Paid course with placement support. I got it. I'm not sure. I haven't heard uh, any like things like. So there are companies like Newton School, Masai School. Uh, so Masai School has this course for Android also. They hire people from any background, and you only have to pay if you earn something around more than seven or something like that. You can check that if you want, but I'll suggest since you're in college, you should not be thinking of that. And like YouTube and Google is enough for learning anything, like literally anything. Uh, Off the record, but there's also a website. You know that there's torrent, so any course you want is available on torrent, so that's never a problem. I had downloaded all the courses which I learned. हम किस क्षेत्र के लिए ऐप बनाए यार that's not a question, sorry. Is room database necessary or we can use anything else? Room database is the suggested way, but for that you should know why SQL was replacing room. So I'll suggest first build an app using SQL tables uh, and learn the basics. So most of the answers will revolve around this thing only, that get your basics first, then get into the advanced features. Get multi-threading first, then get into coroutines. Get databases first, how to write SQL query and things like that, then get into Room database. That's what I'll suggest. If you have used SQL Delight, yeah, can you compare it with Room? Room is the better way. You need to write less boilerplate code, but it's the same. Internally, it also uses SQL tables and SQL queries. So it's the same thing, but Room database is the suggested and a better way. Expected cap package. I'm not sure uh, if I can answer that. As an Android developer, should I have to take care of battery consumption? Definitely, definitely that. But that is once you're done. So if you already have an app on Play Store and you have a lot of users, then you should definitely take care about the battery consumption. But I'll suggest that this is the next step of getting into Android. First, if you're done with the basics and you already have an app, definitely care about battery consumption and memory leaks. So there's a library called Leak Canary. You can add it into your app, and it will detect leaks throughout the app and let you know that in which line this leak is happening. So you can definitely check that. Can you talk about process death and how to handle it? Yeah, a lot of videos are there on YouTube. I haven't studied about it recently. I knew exactly about this when I was preparing for interviews, but since the last 1 year, I haven't worked on process death. So definitely, you can check Google and YouTube for the like the technical questions. I should be the last person to answer the questions. These are easily available on Google and YouTube. How much is UI or UX learning important? Definitely. I had this chat with our VP of engineering the other day, and he was saying that the Android developers are the most uh, powerful people in a company, because a product manager will tell you that this is the screen and this is the desired behavior, but you will be the one which will who will code and present it to the user. So definitely UI and UX learning should be a part of Android developers. Even I did a course from Udacity on UX learning, so I'll suggest that. It's a free course. And so it ba- basically tells you about the basic of user experience, and you should definitely have that in your mind whenever you're making an app. So there are courses on UX and UI on Udacity, on Udemy also you will find, but I'm 100% sure about Udacity. Is it good to have a team for making my app, or is it okay to do alone? So the first app which I had developed, I had so my motivation was to learn. That's why I did not take a team, and I literally did everything on the app. So if you have the same use case, then you should not be having a team. But uh, or if you're planning to make a huge app, then you should definitely have a team and divide and learn stuff. I've learned Jetpack Compose, not so much about XML use. Should I learn? Definitely. Even I haven't learned Jetpack Compose. I'm getting FOMO every day, but uh, right now it's not being used in the majority of the apps, and it is gonna stay for now. So first you should get the XML views and how they are drawn, and why Jetpack Compose was introduced. How does it solve the problem of XML views? You should know about that. So what I'll suggest is definitely learn about XML. Definitely, like that's one. That's the reason I did not shift into Jetpack Compose, because I love developing using XML views. So yeah, that's you should definitely learn more about it. What kind of the apps are best for beginners? I told you a to-do app with a lot of functionalities is a good use case for resume and for learning. Uh, what I had developed e-commerce app. You can easily make one, just the basic stuff using Firebase. You can add image URLs, you can add data in Firebase database, and then uh, do. Um, I even developed an Uber-like app, so you can easily think around the same lines. You can watch a YouTube playlist parallelly and then work on it. So what I'll suggest right now, like if I would have been in college and I knew the basics of Android, what I would have done is I would pick up a playlist, check what they are making, and develop the same thing using Kotlin, because most of the videos will be in Java. You can easily help, uh, like it'll easily help you if you do the same things in Kotlin, and you'll learn a lot of stuff. Can we use Flutter to build a full scale app? Yes, you can. So as a beginner with no programming, what should I go for, back end or front end? Yeah, that's not my question to answer. You should explore for the first year. Like I said, I did not do anything in my first year of college. I was just exploring different platforms. Like what is I did not even get into what is front end, what is back end. I was just exploring new stuffs every day. So nobody should be the correct person to answer this other than you. So it's more on you. Can we learn app dev on cloud platforms like AWS? I'm not sure if Google Cloud or AWS has any relation to Android app development for the learning part. So that's it. Is it necessary to learn both? No, it's not necessary. I don't know anything related to backend, but I'm still an Android developer. But you should know the basics, like how the APIs work in the backend, which I know. So you should definitely know that, but it's not a necessity that you should know. You'll get to learn about it. So the reason I recommended Firebase was that you will use it as a backend for most of the times. So that way you'll get to learn how to implement those APIs. So you will learn the basics, and that is more than enough for Android developer. Any tips to learn DSA? I'm not the right person. Even I am scared of data structures and algorithm every day, to be really honest. And there are thousands of YouTube channels. Like literally every day, a new channel is opening up for data structures and algorithm. Just start with somewhere and follow it. That's what I recommend. Any more questions? We have some time, I guess. It's 3:27. We can take this up to 3:30. So you have 2-3 minutes. You can ask anything. If there are no questions, we can easily drop off. Not a problem. I guess there are no more questions. Yeah. How to handle notifications and broadcasts effectively. So there are two basic types of notifications. One is so implementing notifications are based on two types. I also learned it the hard way. I had implemented an app, and what happened majority of the times that notifications were not getting delivered because of the foreground and background issue. That's when I got to learn about post notifications. So you should learn about that. I had used FCM, Firebase Cloud Messaging, for the notifications, but that had the problem of foreground and background part. You can Google post notifications and how to work on that. So what happens in that case is you send a data class from the API, from the server from which the notification is getting generated, and you can learn about that. When to use persistent storage and when to use external database. Uh, Try to use persistent storage whenever possible, because using external database is a additional permission to give for a user, and it's a dangerous permission. So basically you'll have to ask the user for it. There are a lot of permissions for which you don't need to ask. uh, Writing or reading from external storage is a dangerous permission, so avoid using that unless it's external, like it is extremely necessary. So I'll prefer if you use persistent storage. How can we use I just said you can use Firebase for anything. Firebase has all the capabilities for uh, backend and stuff. When should I have in-memory cache for local database? Uh, so for apps like Facebook, basically whenever you have a feed, and you can use in-memory cache so that you can cache some data for the feed, so that whenever you're loading the app once again, you have something to display, and behind the scenes you can work on the paging thing and get the current data. I learned Kotlin. Should I shift to Java or continue Kotlin? If you started learning Kotlin first, what I'll recommend is get the basics correct of OOPS and threading. If you're done with that, it's not necessary that you should shift into Java. You can easily continue with Kotlin. Is it good to use XML code or make using window instead of code window? Uh, it depends on the use case. There are a lot of times when views are drawn dynamically, that after a user presses a certain button, and then this view should be visible for both the cases are like the same thing. I'll prefer using XML code because you'll have a visual view of how the view will look, but it depends on the use case. Like there are a lot of use cases in the Zomato app also where the views are not from the XML layout and from the code window. So it depends on the use case. Special things on Android which are not available in web or iOS. Similar question: why Android not web or iOS? So I answered my part. Why I got into Android because nobody else was going into it, and that's how I got into Android. So for the second part, special things on Android which are not available in web or iOS. The most special thing is uh, the number of people. Majority of people use Android and not iOS. So whenever you're learning stuff, you should be primarily focusing on the number of people who are going to use it. That's how I think, and that's why I got into Android. And for iOS stuff, so I did not have a MacBook to learn iOS. That's why I did not get into iOS. Is it necessary to make a website for every app we develop? No, it's not necessary. I don't have a website for any of the apps which I've developed. Will learning about variables increase my chance of getting good? Definitely. I had learned after uh, a lot of. So, learning about variables is not something which will fetch you a job or a good opportunity unless the company is focused towards making variables or has a job opening uh, which requires someone to have knowledge of variables, but it is definitely a plus point in which you can show that you are flexible that way that you can develop on any size Android app. So for the to do app which I said, if you make the best to do app, you should run it on a tablet, you should run it on a small mobile, a big mobile, a wearable, and then display it on GitHub, display it on Play Store. Like that should be your topmost app, and most of the people will be more than happy if you have that app. How do you foresee the future of Android development? I'm not sure. I don't see anything. I'm just sure that native is going to be there. So that's what I'll suggest for gaming apps like PUBG. How much Android knowledge is needed? How much game development? I had also learned gaming development. I had used Unreal Engine. I had used I forgot the name of the software. I had used Unreal Engine and the other, which is very common. I forgot the name. Android knowledge is definitely needed because the basics remains the same. Unity, right, right, Unity 3D, right. uh, Basics remains the same. You need to learn how the activity is drawn, how are things when the app is in background, how are things when the app is in foreground. So you should definitely have the basic knowledge of Android. Yeah. Implementing security in Android app. um, Best practices. So for large scale apps, I know. For basic apps, or just starting into it, I'm not. I'm not sure. I haven't worked on the security part in Android. You can easily Google this question. But exact what you wrote should be the Google line, and that will have a lot of answers. Even I am not aware of best practices. Creating an Android app with Web3 backend much different. Yeah, I don't have idea about these things. Which is good, our own login or Google login. Google login any day because like you think about a use case. If you're using if you've installed a new app and it has options of Google login and own email, which would you prefer? I would any day prefer Google login, because for that I won't have to write the password, confirm password, and stuff like that. So if you're developing an app, you should know how the login part works. So for that you can use Firebase authentication, but Google login should also be there. For learning perspective, implement both. I had done the same, but for a use case, you should definitely focus on Google login. Best team size. There's no team size. I developed apps alone. I have apps on Play Store. I guess that's it. It's already past 3:37.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, you can ask, or we shall conclude the session here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining us
not
in
a
this
problem.
valuable session today. So, and guys, in this session, I hope you all have got a lot of doubts cleared. If you have any more doubts, you can ask finally, or you can try to contact me. I'll try to get in touch with sir for clarifying your doubts anytime. Okay,
Yeah,
and
and someone had asked for my Twitter handle. I'll just type it here. I'm available here. Anyone wants. Yeah. That's it.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us
Thanks a
today.
lot, guys. Any.
Welcome.
Bye.
Thank you. And I hope you all are going through the course. So please go through the course. And once you go through it, just form your own team of 4 to 5 members and try to come up with an app idea. Okay, so the meeting can be ended right now and you all can leave. So thank you so much for attending this.